Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is your teacher Ahmed Musameh, and today, inshallah, we will continue our lecture with ELET104 computer programming. Inshallah, we will talk today's lecture about Module 3. As you all know, Module 3 is divided into three sections. Section 1 is operators and statements. Section 2, conditional statements. Section 3 is iterative statements. Bismillah, we will start with the section 1. Section 1, operators and statements. In this section, we will learn about the operators used in C language. As you can see, we have 7 types of operators. We have arithmetic, honorary, relational, logical, bitwise, conditional, and assignment operator. The first one, arithmetic operators. This is the simple math type operator. The addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and the mod type function. This mod, maybe this is a new one. This is the remainder after division. باقي القسم. Okay. Example, if we take a look at this example here. Example, integer variables. If you see here integer variables, that means the output, it must not have a decimal point. Suppose a equal 10, b equal 3. Now a plus b, 10 plus 3 is 13. Now here, 10 divided by 3 equal 3. If we use the calculator and we say 10 divided by 3, what is the answer? 3.333. But since this is an integer, so we will take only the first 3. We don't write this number, we just write the 3, the fixed number 3. Okay. Now the other one, a mod b. So a is 10. Mod, this is the mod 3 equals how much? Equals 1. This is the remainder after division. This is the integer variables. If we have real variables, meaning numbers with decimal point, here it's okay to have decimal points in your answers. Okay, so this is the arithmetic operators. In the honorary operators, this is here where we'll use plus plus, minus minus. But here you have to pay attention that the plus plus is before the variable or after. Plus plus here is before. Minus minus is before. I plus plus, this is after. I minus minus, this is after. Minus 5. In the honorary operator, when we say plus plus I, this means I is equal to I plus 1. Minus minus I, this means I equal I minus 1. Suppose x is equal to 5, y equal 3, I is equal to 1. Then the value here, plus plus I, this means I is equal to I plus 1. But when we have an equation like this one, z equal x plus y, bracket plus plus I. In this case, if the plus plus is to the left of I, yani before the I, we have to increase, we have to increment the value of I by 1. And we solve the equation. Same here, minus minus I. This is before the character, before the variable I. This means we have to decrement, yani subtract 1 from I. I is equal 1. 1 minus 1 is 0, and we solve the equation. But in the case where the I plus plus, the plus plus comes after the I, this means what? That the value of I remains the same. We don't change it. It stays 1. And we do the equation. 5 plus 3 is equal 8. Minus 1 equals 7. After we get the answer 7, after that we increase the value of I by 1. Okay. In this one, I minus minus, this means I equal I minus 1. In this case, 5 plus 3 is 8. Minus 1, remember, if the plus plus to the left, to the right, and I plus minus minus to the right, yani after the I, here we don't change the value of I. We change the value of I, increase or decrease, after we get the answer. Okay, this is, if it's before, we have to add 1 or subtract 1, and we solve the equation. In the I plus plus, after the I, This is after the I, plus plus or minus minus. This means what? We will increase or decrease after we get the answer, after. Okay. Relational operators, this is the operators. For these operators, less than or equal, greater than or equal. In this one here, true or false. The answer for these relational operators, always the answer is true or false. You are comparing two values. You are comparing two values. Is A greater than B? Is 5 greater than 6? Is 8 less than 3? Okay. In the logical operator, the same. Here, the answer for these type of questions, it always gives what? True or false. True, we represent with 1. False, we use what? 0. For the logical operator, we will use the AND, OR, NOT, and the XOR. And here, you have to remember the truth table. You have to remember the truth table. So these are the symbol used, these are the operators used with the logical, and, or, not, and the XOR. Suppose I is equal to 1, J is equal to, K is equal to 3. Now we say I less than J. Is I less than J? Is 1 less than 2? True. 1 is less than 2. So this is true. This is the relational. I plus J. I is 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. Is it equal or greater than K? 3. Is 3 greater than or equal to 3? 3 is equal to 3. So the answer is true. Now we come to the logical. Say here, I less than J. Is 1 less than 2? This is true. And J is equal to 3. J is equal to. So this is false. True and false. True and false. What is the answer? Is false. And so on. Now we come to the bitwise operators. The bitwise operators. The operators we use for this type is the AND, OR, XOR, left shift, right shift, and the NOT. Okay. Here also we have to use the truth table. Example. It says here, assume A is equal to 60 and B equal to 13. This is in decimal format. For the bitwise, we have to change these numbers to binary format, to the zeros and ones. But in the quizzes and midterms, you don't have to worry about that. We will give you the number already the number will be given in the binary format. For example, A is equal 00111100. This is the binary format for the number 60. B, this is the binary format for number 13. So here, 0 and 0, we come to the table. 0 and 0 is 0. 0 and 0 is 0. 1 and 0 is 0. 1 and 0, the answer is 0 from the truth table. Okay. Now 1 and 1, the answer is 1. 1 and 1, the answer is 1. 0 and 0, 0 and 1, the rest are zeros. This is for the AND. The same with the OR, the same with the XOR. The NOT, this is if it's 0, not 0 means what? Not 0 is 1. Not 1 is 0. The shift left, this one means this is the number A. Left shift A by two digits. That means you have to come to the left side of the number, the left side, the left 2 digits, we drop these 2 digits and we carry them to the right of the number. Okay, this is the number, this is the left side, 2 digits, that means we'll take the 2 zeros and we drop them and we move them to the extreme right, The shift right, this is the number, this is the right of the number. This is the right of the number, 2 numbers, 2 digits. We drop them and we move them to the extreme left. Okay, so this is shift left and this is shift right. Now we come to the conditional operators. This is where we use the condition. If this condition is true, we go to the then part. If this condition is false, we go to the else part. This example, expression, this is my condition. If this condition is true, we will go to the colon part. This is the then. If this condition is false, we will go to the semicolon part, expression 3. So if this is true, we will jump to the expression 2, to the colon. If this expression is false, we will jump to the semicolon. So whatever is written here, we have to execute it. Example, A is equal 5, B is equal to 3. C equal A less than 0. Question mark. Now we are asked, is A less than 0? Is 5 less than 0? True or false? If this is true, we have to go to the 0. If this is false, we have to go to the 100. So is 5 less than 0? False. 5 is greater than 0. So in this case, we have to jump to the 100. So C is equal to 100. The second example, A mod 3. Is it equal to, yani if we divide 5 divided by 3, is the remainder equal to? If this is true, then the answer will be 10. If this is false, the answer will be A plus B, which is 8. And this is true, so the answer is 10. C equal A plus B. Is A plus B, 5 plus 3, 8. Is 8 greater than A multiply B, 15? Is 8 greater than 15? False. In this case, we have to jump to the semicolon, A minus B. 5 minus 3 is, the answer is 2. So C is equal to 2. Sometimes you will get the type of question in a program like this one, and it asks you what is the output. What is the output of this code? Include main integer A equal 10, B is equal to 10, 2. Here we declare two variables, and we assign the value 10 to A, and we assign the value 2 to B, and the data type is integer. Now we assign another variable S, data type is integer. The value of S, we get it from after we execute this type of conditional operator. So here, is A greater than B? Is 10 greater than 2? True. If this is true, that means the value of S is equal to A. Printf, this will display the value is S. Whatever stored in S will be displayed on the screen. And here the value of S is equal what? Is equal to A, which is 10. So this is number 6, which is the conditional operators. Now we come to the number 7, which is assignment operator. Assignment operator. Here we have identifier equal expression semicolon. Identifier like A, sum, X. A is equal to 3. Here we identifier is A, and we assign 3 to this variable, to this identifier. So here you have to see that we are using semicolon at the end of the assignment. B is equal to A. Sum is equal A plus B. Semicolon. Okay, this is the first one. The next one is the assignment operators. Assignment operators, for example, plus equal, multiply equal, divide equal, minus equal, and mod equal. This one, A equal 5. A equal 5. A plus equal 5. This is translated in C language, or meaning A equal A plus 5, which is equal to 10. A minus equal 5. This translated to A equal A minus 5. A multiply equal 5. This is in C language. This is in C language. Meaning A is equal A multiply 5. A divided equal 5. This means what? A is equal to A divided by 5. A mod equal 5. This is in C language. This is translated to, or meaning, A is equal to A mod L5. Semicolon. Okay. This here teach you about the hierarchy of math. Yani what is the priority to solve such type of questions. Now we come to the second part of the operators and statements. Now we come to the statements. Statements. We have 3 types of statements. The first one is called expression or simple, compound statement, and the control statements. 3 types: expression, compound, and control. Okay, example for the expression, this is A equal 3 semicolon. B equal 5, semicolon. C equal A plus B, semicolon. Plus A, semicolon. You can see here the single statement, single type of statements. We don't have a group of statements, only single statements. Here we create A and we assign the value 3 to this variable. Okay, this is the expression. The compound, this is where we use the braces, beginning and end. And we have here statements. This type of statement, we call it compound. We have braces start and braces what? Stop. Begin and end. In the middle, we have the statements. This type of statement, we call it what? Compound. In the control, we have the condition. We have the while x equal 1. Okay? While this is the condition. If this condition is true, we will do something. If this condition is false, we will take another action. So whenever we see while and the condition, this means this is a control statement. You are controlling the program by putting what? Conditions, true and false. For example, if, while, do while, this type of statements are called control. Now we come to the end of section 1. We start another section, section 2. In section 2 here, we learn about the control statements, Control statements are used to create special program features such as logical, loops, and branches. We have two categories, conditional and iterative. In the conditional statements, what does it mean? It means conditional statements are used to make decisions when two or more alternative actions are to be computed. Here, we have an alternative. Okay? If this condition is true, we will perform something. If this condition is false, we have to perform another thing. So we have here decision you have to make based on the condition, evaluation, result. If the condition is true, we will go with A. If this condition is false, we will go with B. And we have three types of statements. We have three types of conditional statements. We have the if else, and switch. Okay, let's take a look at the first one, which is the if statement. Here we have example 3.14. It says a program to calculate the square root of a positive number. So here we need to write a program that will calculate the square root of a positive number using the if statement. Here include stdio.h, include math.h. This header, or we can call it a library, this is a math library. Okay, in this library we have all the formulas that belongs to math, square root, power, sine, cosine, whatever, all stored in this library. Void main, this is the start of the program. Float num x. Here we have two variables. One is called num and the other one is called x. The data type is float. Okay. Now this is a printf. This message will be displayed on the screen, telling the user to input a number. Scanf, this is the input statement to accept a number and store it in the variable num. %f, this is, we use %f here because we are using float, so we use here f. Ampersand, this one to tell the computer the location of the variable num. So when the user input a number, it will take this number and go directly and store it in the variable num based on its location. Okay, now we come to the condition. This is the control statement. You see, this is the control. Here we have a conditional type statement using the if style. If num is greater than 0, and here we are checking the user input. If the user input the number greater than 0, this means true. If this is true, then we will calculate the square root and print and display on the screen the value of the square root. If this condition is false, that means what? Exit outside the program. Exit outside the program. If you can see the program, this is example 3.14. Okay, this is the square root of a number. Enter a number, for example 5. To display the square root, if we say minus 3, this is less than 0, it will display error. Okay, so this is the first technique of conditional statement using the if statement. The second technique is called if else. If else. Here we have two choices. We have two alternatives. If the condition is true, we will perform some statements. If the condition is false, we will perform another statement. Yani there are separate two statements, one for the true and one for the false. If the condition is true, then. If the condition is false, with the else. Program to read an integer number and then display a message. Number is even, number is odd. And here the user will input a number. After he finishes entering the number, we will have a condition. If the number which the user entered, is it even or odd? How do we know the number is even or odd, Zawji or Fardi? We can know that by dividing the number by 2. If the remainder is equal to 0, this means the number is even. If the remainder is greater than 0, the number is odd. So here include void main integer num. This is a variable called num, and the data type is integer. Printf, enter a number. Scanf, this is the input statement. After the user input a number, here we check if the number modded to equals 0, yani after dividing the number by 2, is the remainder equal 0? If this is true, then display number is even. If this is false, yani greater than 0, then display what? Number is odd. If you can go and see the program, example 3.15. Okay, this is the program. Run. Okay, enter a number. Enter number. Here we will enter, for example, 6. 6 modded to equals 0. Yani if we divide 6 by 2, the remainder is equal to 0. This means that this number is even. طيب, run. Now if we enter, for example, 9 modded to, is it equal to 0? If it's equal to 0, this number is even. If it's greater than 0, this means it's false. That means this number is odd. Okay, let's continue. So this is the if else. This is the if else. Now this is another one, nested if else. The switch statement. Switch statement. This is the third type of conditional type of statement. Switch. Here the expression. This is the condition. We put it here. Case label 1 break. So here we have a list of items. We have a list of items like a menu. If the number which the user enters is found in this menu, that means this expression is true. Then we can execute the statement. If the number which user input is not in this menu, this means this is false. In the case when this number is false, we go to the default. Example, program to print 1 if 1 is entered. Here, this example, the user will input a number, 1. When he input 1, the computer will display 1, O and E. If he enters 2, it will display 2, 3, 4. And here we have a range from 1 to 4. Okay? If the user input a number less than 1, it will display error. If the number input a number greater than 4, it will display what? An error. Include void main integer A. So we have here a variable called A, and this data type is integer. Printf, enter an integer 1 to 4. So this is my range. This is my range. This means the program using the switch program, switch technique, it will work only for these valid numbers from 1, 2, 3, 4. Other than these numbers, it will go to the default. It will give me an error. So here, if the user input 1, it will go and check. Do I have 1 in the switch? Yes, we have 1. That means this condition is true. It will go and execute the statement. This means break means exit outside the program. If the user input 5, switch 5, it will go and check here. Do I have 5? We don't have 5. That means what? This is false. In this case, it will go to the default. Okay. This one here, we can see the program for it. This is 3:17. This is the program. This is the program. Run. Here, enter integer. Here, the valid integer 1, 2, 3, and 4 only. So the user input 3, it will display on the screen 3. Enter, display 3, and exit. Now run. We will input a number outside this range. For example, 5. Enter. What does it say? It says error. Valid value is from 1 to 4. That means you entered a number outside this range. Outside this range. Okay. So this program works in integer. In an integer. Another program using the switch, but in this case we will use what? A character. What are the characters? The valid characters that the user can input for this program to work. It's capital R, capital B, and capital G. These are the 3 characters allowed to be entered into this program. Other than these 3 characters, it will give what? It will give error. Include void main char A. Here we declare a variable called capital A, and its data type is char. Printf, display this message on the screen. Scanf, this is an input statement to accept the character which is entered by the user and store it in A, capital A. Switch A, based on the value which entered by the user, we can move in this menu here. If the user input capital R, we check, do I have capital R here? Yes, this is true. Then we execute this statement. Break, that means what? Exit. Let's take a look at this program. Run it. Run it. 3.18. This is 3.18. Okay, this is the program. Remember, this is works on the character. Run. Okay, here the user will input, for example, capital B. Capital B, it will go and check. We have capital B. It will display what? Blue on the screen. Display blue and exit outside. Run. Suppose I enter here small r. Small r. Small r is not in the list. In this case, enter. The program will exit. Remember, you see here, we did not put a default. So it's up to you. If you want to use default and send a warning message to the user telling him that the input is wrong. Okay. So this finishes the section 2. Now section 3, this is about the iterative statements. Iterative statements. This is, if you remember, the repetitive flow charts. This is where we have the looping. Here we put a condition inside the program. If this condition remains or stays true, the program will keep running until this condition becomes false. Once this condition becomes false, it will exit outside the program. And we have 3 types of statements. We have do while, and for. Do while, and for. And here with the do while, here with the do while, we will use a program to display the numbers from 1 to 5. From 1 to 5. It says write a C program using an iterative do while statement to display numbers from 1 to 5 on the screen. Okay, so here include void main integer num equal 1. So here I declare a variable num, and we assign a value 1 to this variable num, and its data type is integer. We start with 1 because this is the program to print from 1. We start from 1. So with the first value we assign is 1. Now this is the do. This is the syntax for the do while. Do braces, okay? And this is the statements has to execute when this condition is true. So do printf %d num. So it will display on the screen here 1. Num is equal num plus 1. Now we add 1 to the value. Num here is 1. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Okay, then we go down to the condition. While num is than or equal to 5 semicolon, you see, do while semicolon. Here the new number, which is 2, we have to examine the new number. Is the new number less than or equal to 5? If this condition is true, we have to go back to the do and execute the statement. Printf, it will display the new value, which is 2 on the screen. Then we add 1 to the number, becomes 3. Now we come to the condition, and here we examine the new number. Is 3 less than or equal to 5? If this is true, we go back to the do statement. Execute, display 3 on the screen. 3 plus 1 equal 4. And we examine the new number. Is this true or false? 4 is less than 5. True. We go back to the do statement. We display 4 on the screen. 4 plus 1 is 5. We go and check the condition. Is 5 less than or equal to 5? This is true. If this is true, we go back to the do statement. Display the number on the screen 5. 5 plus 1 is equal to 6. Now we come to the condition. Now we ask, is 6 less than or equal to 5? Okay, is 6 less than or equal to 5? Come on, this is false. 6 is greater than 5. In this case, we will do what? We will exit outside the program. So if this condition stays true, okay, we will go back and execute. We will be looping. Once this condition becomes false, we will exit outside the program. So this is the control. This is how you control your program, by putting conditions inside. Okay, so this is a program to display numbers from 1 to 5 using do while. Now we will see the same example to display numbers from 1 to 5, but this one using the technique of while statement. While statement. Include void main. Okay, let's go and see this program before we move. We can go and see this program 3.19. Okay, this is the program. Do while. So run. It will display the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once it becomes 6, you see, do, we execute the lines. Once it becomes false, it will exit outside the program. Now with the while statement, include void main integer num equal 1. So we have a variable called num, and we assign 1 to this variable. And after that, we put a condition. We control the program by putting what? A condition. Here we ask while number less than or equal to 5. Means as long as this value, this number is less than or equal to 5, execute these two statements. If this condition becomes false, we exit outside the program. So while num is equal or less than 5, num is equal to 1. 1 is less than 5. Printf, it will display on the screen 1. Add 1 to the num, becomes 2. We go back. You see, you cannot exit outside the program as long as this condition is true. So it will keep running and displaying the numbers from 1 to 5. Once this becomes 6, 5 plus 1 is 6. We go back here to the condition and we check. Is 6 less than or equal to 5? Come on, this is false. 6 is greater than 5. That means false. That means the program will exit outside the loop. Here, this is example 3.19. Same, see, integer num, while, and keep executing these two lines as long as this condition is true. Whenever you see the braces here, okay, num equal 1 plus 1 is 2. We go back and check the condition. Yani we keep running, going back and forth using this condition as long as this condition is true. Once this condition becomes false, we will exit what? Outside the program. Run. It will display the numbers from 1 to 5. 6, here 6, we go back and check the condition. 6 is greater than 5, we will exit outside. So this is the second type of iterative statement, the while. The third one, the one here, the same example, is the program that will print the sum of all odd numbers from 1 to 50. So the sum is equal 1 plus 3 odd numbers, 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7. You can see here the difference between the first and the second number is 2. So here we have to increase the num by 2. Num equal num plus 2. Include void main, integer num is equal to 1. This is the first value, 1, 1. Sum is equal to 0. Using the while statement, while num less than or equal to 49. Because here 49 plus 2 equals 51. And the program must stop at 50. So we stop at number 49. Okay. If this condition remains true, we will say sum equal to sum plus num. Then num equal num plus 2. Yani 1 plus 2 is 3. We go back and check. 3 is less than 49. True. We add 3 to the sum. We keep running this program as long as this condition is true. At the end of the program, it should give me what? It should give me the sum of this series, which is equal to 625. This is 3.21. Okay, this is the program using the while statement. Run. The answer is 625. This is the total of the series. You remember that with the while, we have to use the braces, start and stop. And the program will execute the statements inside these two braces. Once this becomes false, it will exit outside the loop, which comes to this line. And it will display the output, which is the sum of the series. Okay, this is the while. Now we come to the third type, which is called the for loop. The for loop. Here, the for loop, this is a program to display 1 to 5 using for loop. The for loop, this is how the syntax: for bracket initial value, the first value of the variable, semicolon, the condition, semicolon, and the increment. Example, for bracket num equal 1. This is the first value of num, which is equal to 1. Semicolon, num, this is the condition, num is less than or equal to 5. Semicolon, plus plus num. Remember this one, plus plus num is what meaning? Means num is equal to num plus 1. As you can see, the for loop, we can write the whole statement in one line. The beginning, the condition, and the increment. The program, this is to display the numbers from 1 to 5. Include void main, integer num, we define the variable num and its data type is integer. For, now when we, from the beginning of the program, we start the for loop from the left side. For bracket num is equal to 1. This is the first, this is executed at the beginning, and this is executed only once. Once you enter the for loop, semicolon, then we put the condition, semicolon, plus plus num. Now here, we entered from here, num is equal to 1. Now the next step is to examine this number here. Is num less than or equal to 5? True. If this is true, Then we go down to the first line below the for loop. It says here printf %d num. That means what? Display the value of num on the screen. So it will display what? 1. Now when we go back to the for loop, we go at the end of the for loop, at the tail. Okay? When we finish running and displaying the number on the screen, we go back to the tail of the for loop at the end. Plus num, we said this means what? This means num is equal to num plus 1. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Then the program automatically, it will go and check the condition, the new number. It will examine the new number. Is this new number less than or equal to 5? If this is true, it will go down to the line below the for loop. It will display 2 on the screen. And we go back to the tail of the for loop. 2 plus 1 is 3. Automatically, it will go and check the new number. Is 3 less than or equal to 5? True. We go down. Display this 3 on the screen. It will display 3 on the screen. Now we go back to the tail. Plus num. 3 plus 1 is equal to 4. We will go back to the condition. Examine the new number. 4. Is it less than 5? True. If this is true, then we go back to the. We go down to the display number. We display the value of the number on the screen, which is 4. Okay. Now plus 3. 4 plus 1 equals what? 5. We examine the new number. The 5. Is 5 less than or equal to 5? It's true. Go down. Display it on the screen. 5. Now we go back to the tail. Plus 5 means 5 plus 1 equals what? 6. Now we go examine the 6. Is 6 less than 5? This is false. False. This means what? Exit outside the program, and the program will stop. Remember, with the for loop, we start from the left. This is executed only once. We don't go back to it. Only once. Then we start working in this side. Okay? We add 1, we increment, check the new number. Increment and check the new number. Once this condition becomes false, we will exit outside the program. Okay, and this is another program to display the stars on the screen, and this is called nested for loop. Nested for loop. Okay, review questions. You have to answer these questions. This is regarding the relational, logical, the compound, the type of statements. We said we have expression, we have compound and control statements. And this is another programming type of questions. Write a program using iterative statements to calculate the series. This series. 2 plus 5, that means there is a difference of 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 plus 3 is 8. Using while statement, do while, and for. That means you have to write the 3 programs. 3 programs to calculate this series. Then number 7, write switch statement that accepts an integer variable x. If the user input 1, it will display volts. Switch. If the user input 2, it will display ohm. If the user input 3, it will display amperes. If the user input a number outside this range, it will display what? An error. So your range is 1 to 3. 1, 2, 3. Any number less than 1, greater than 3, it should display what? Error. Okay. Then we come to the switch statement. This is another program using a character, which is color. If the user input capital R, it will display red. Capital G, it will display green. Capital B, it will display blue. Other than these 3 characters, capital R, capital G, and capital B, it will give what? Black. Okay. This is write the output of this program using the if statement. You have to calculate, or you have to solve these type of questions manually by hand. And this is another program also using do while. This is another program. This is you enter in an integer and you have to calculate the addition of these 2 integers, the sum of the 2 digits. And if you enter a number 25, the sum is equal to 7. 2 plus 5 is equal to 7. Okay, thank you very much. Walhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Shukran.